Alrighty, so welcome to Web App Security Testing Workshop. My name's Harrison. I will be your host along with Sachin. Say hi.
Hi. Hey.
Um,
I'll be your co-host for today.
so we'll be showing you how to break a web app. So I know we have a lot of first-time hackathoners here in general. So a web app in the first place is a piece of software you write for a website. So that can be anything from gmail.com is a good example of a web app, or a banking website, or something like amazon.com. All examples of it's not just like a flat web page, you interact with it. So those are all
You're
examples
still on
of
the
web
title card.
apps. I'm sorry?
You're
Oh,
still on the title card. I don't know if you wanted to go on
yeah,
the next slide.
we're good. Oh, and by the way, we're both from Such and I are both from the Hack at UCF club here at UCF. So the club's sponsoring this workshop. So why should you care? This is a software development event for the most part. You're not trying to break things, you're trying to make them. But as a software developer, thinking like a hacker will help you write better software. If you know the kinds of vulnerabilities people use to break your applications, you can write them better, learn how to write secure code. So things like sanitizing your inputs, which a lot of you probably may not know what that means right now, but you will by the end of this presentation. So Burp Suite is a set of tools, and you can get it on pretty much any platform you're probably using right now. So if you haven't installed it already, I would advise doing that so you can follow along. It is.
Yeah, I'm personally using Burp Suite on a Kali Linux machine, and Harrison, I don't remember what you're using it on.
Oh, I'm just using it on Windows 10. So there's a
Okay.
pretty big variety there. And it's free, the community edition at least. There is some very expensive paid versions, but we'll be sticking with free for today's workshop. I cannot see chat, so Sachin, if you could let me know if anything pops up.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Nothing's popped up so far. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to have like a 5-10 minute time slot at the end of the workshop for like any questions. But if you have like any questions you just want to ask in the chat, we'll try to get around to them.
Yeah, so ask away if you're confused about literally anything.
Yeah, either Harrison or I will explain it.
We'll be doing, I think I have 6 slides total. Most of this will be hands-on, so you'll see that in a second.
Yeah.
So Burp Suite is a proxy. You may have heard the term proxy before. Usually it's kind of a privacy thing. So we also call a proxy a man in the middle. And what that means is, let's say I'm Alice and I want to send a message to Bob. Probably that would be Alice is my home computer talking to the server that has the website. So Bob is a web server out there somewhere. So let's say I want to talk to Bob. I can send a message directly to Bob and he sends a response back to me. Or I can go through a middleman. So I send my request to the proxy forwards it to Bob. Bob figures out what his response is, sends it back to the proxy, and the proxy forwards it to me. It is just one extra step in the process. And this allows us to do a couple things. Usually proxies are used as a privacy thing. So in this case, if Alice uses a proxy to talk to Bob, Bob doesn't know who Alice is. Bob only talks directly to the proxy. So there's a bit of anonymity. Not sure how to say that. Anonymity. You get the idea. Secondly, the proxy has full control over all the data passing through it. So, for example, let's say Alice said hi to Bob. When Alice forwards it to the proxy could edit it to say, howdy there, partner. And now Bob thinks Alice is a cowboy. So the proxy can control the data passing through it. And it's helpful in our case because we can have better control over what information is being sent to the website in order to break it.
Yeah, I'm going to quickly add on to that. It's not like, for example, the modified requests we want to do, it's not like we can't directly like send them through modifying like the our own web page in the browser, but the proxy we're using just makes it easier for us. So like it'll hold the packet like in transit if we want to edit it, as opposed to us like having to manually go into the HTML and edit it ourselves.
And if this is completely confusing, it'll make more sense in a minute. We're going to do a hands-on demo in approximately 120 seconds-ish. So I think Sachin's going to cover a little more tools than this, but I'm going to be covering 3 tools within Burp Suite. So it's called Burp Suite for a reason, kind of like how there's the Microsoft Office suite that has Word, Excel, PowerPoint. The Burp Suite has multiple tools we can use. So the first one is Proxy. That's going to be the main one we'll be using, and it lets us capture and control the flow of traffic. Repeater lets us use packets or requests that were already sent to the server and replay them, and we can make changes to them if we so wish. And then Intruder is a pretty cool one. It basically automates what Repeater does. So we can send, let's say we capture a request to the server that contains a username and password, where like the user goes into a login form and says, oh, this is my username, this is my password, I'm going to send it to the server to log in. Intruder can capture that packet, and then we can replay it to the server over and over, trying different passwords to try to break in. And you'll see an example of that in a bit. So we're actually going to launch straight into demo time. Before we get started, any question on the slides? Once again, it'll make more sense when you see it in action. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and now share my entire screen. Let's see. Okay, pardon the inception moment you're about to have. Okay, we're good to go. So I'm just going to start by opening up Burp Suite. This will be slightly different depending on what platform it is, but in Windows, you can just search for it in the Start menu. And you will not have this message right here. That's just because I've already been running it. I'm just going to delete that. And you probably won't have this either because you probably downloaded a recent version. I'm not going to update right now.
Hey, Harrison, I'd recommend you increase the font size.
On my whole computer?
Just on Burp Suite.
I'm not sure how it would.
I can walk you through that really quick.
Is it within Burp Suite or Windows setting?
Yeah, within Burp Suite. It's in the options.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a temporary project because that's all we can do in Community Edition. Click Next. Defaults are fine. I'm just going to start it up.
Okay, yeah, go to User Options.
There we go.
No. I was talking about in Burp, not in the tab above.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see.
Let me see next to Project Options. All right, display.
And it'll take effect when it's restarted. We could roll a 20 and see how that goes.
I'm using 15 on mine. I don't know if that's going to be large enough.
I'll do like 18. That sounds sane. Okay, so I'm going to restart Burp.
I'll just have you tell me if you can't like see it properly.
Okay, that's definitely chunkier. So temporary project with defaults. Hopefully y'all can see that better.
Yeah, sorry about that. I should have honestly thought about that before we started the workshop. It just didn't occur to me.
So before we actually try to attack the vulnerable website we set up, I'm going to demonstrate a couple of the tools really quick. So we're going to start with the proxy. So you can see there's different tabs here. We have Proxy, was that one tool we talked about. You can also get to other tools like Intruder and Repeater. So under the Proxy tab, first we have to set up our proxy. So there's a couple ways to do this. They have a browser built into Burp Suite that already has it set up. So you can just click on Open Browser and well, it already has traffic because Chrome wants to log me into my Google account. But the point is, if I wanted to go to Wikipedia or something, if I just searched for something, you can see all the traffic here and control it without having to do any other setup, which is pretty cool. Alternatively, if you have a browser you want to use, like I wanted to use Firefox, for example, I can go under options and see, okay, the proxy is listening on this IP address and this port. If I open up Firefox, you can just use the embedded browser, so don't worry about this. Just be aware you can do it. If we find the proxy settings on Firefox, we can tell it to use that IP and port. And now it'll pick up the Firefox traffic too. So search for Reddit. Oh, it'll complain about things and you have to deal with that. That's part of why the embedded is just easier a lot of times. But anyway, if we go to Intercept, it's picking up the traffic from Firefox now. Anyway, we're just going to use the embedded browser. That was just so you knew that you can do it. So there's a couple different things going on here. First of all, that open browser was right here under Proxy Intercept, just so you know where that is. Basically, any website we visit, any traffic we generate in here will go through Burp Suite. As we do that, so let's say I go to, I think it's wikipedia.org. I'm just going to turn this off for a second. Okay.
Harrison, I will say within the proxy, the raw text looks a little bit small.
Okay.
It's a small thing, but you might have to like verbally explain what you're looking at.
Okay. Well, let's.
Again, if anyone else has like any like suggestions or questions, feel free to just like type them.
Okay. So this button right here where it says intercept is on, we can turn it on and off. So when intercept is off, it just lets the traffic go to the server. So I can go do whatever I want, right? It pulls up the web page just fine. If we turn intercept on, let's say I type in Google. If I turn intercept on, it will now capture every request we send and we can look at it one by one. If we want to go ahead and send it to the server, we can do that with forward and just move the conversation along. And eventually it will load the page. There we go.
So another reason to have intercept off but still use the proxy is past the obvious convenience of not having to forward every single packet. It also will allow you to log it in HTTP history. So like if you need to retroactively go back and edit a packet, you can pull that from there, as Harrison's just shown. Like you can just right click on a specific packet and it'll give you the ability to edit it.
Yeah, so under the HTTP history, we can see every single request to the server we have sent and the response back, which is it's pretty cool. And we'll use that more when we're actually attacking the site in a bit. But you can see, I mean, all we did was load 2 pages and there's 200 requests. There's a lot that goes on in the background. Okay, so that's a general overview of the proxy. Now, if I want to, let's see, here's what I'll do. I'm going to turn intercept off for a second to make sure everything catches up. Then I'm going to turn it back on and search for something. So let's see. There we go. So I'll just look at this request. So here's an example of a request to the server. Now, if I want to be able to replay that over and over with different values or just mess around with it, what I can do is right click on it and send it to repeater. So repeater basically just lets us play with different requests. So for example, I could just send that right now. And if you look in all that data, edible fruit of domesticated deciduous tree. It's actually all of the data in this response is the web page for Apple on Wikipedia. We can edit the request here and get a different response. Let's say I put in Shrek and got the Wikipedia page for Shrek by hitting send. If I dig through all this, somewhere it'll say Shrek is a 2001 American something film. So and Repeater pretty much lets us take previous requests we've sent and make changes to them and resend them as much as we want, which is pretty helpful. The last thing I'm going to review briefly is Intruder. So
really quickly, just on the repeater, like that's used for like if you're, for example, like using SQL injection, but like you're not actually getting response. It's called blind SQL injection, but that's beside the point. Anyways, if you're using like blind SQL injection, you can use it to test like different inputs and see, you know, like what kind of output do you get.
That,
as opposed to like going through proxy, restarting it every single time.
That's a good point. So like if we want to just test different things to try to break it, like putting in exclamation marks or something like that to try to break the app, we could do that. And we will actually do that in a bit. So just like how we could send requests from proxy over to repeater, you can actually take any request and send it anywhere. So I can right click on this one and send it to Intruder. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to show Intruder real quick. So Intruder, as we mentioned before, basically does what I was just doing with repeater, how I was picking one parameter, one tiny little piece of this request and changing it and just trying a bunch of different ones to see what happens pretty much. Intruder lets us do that in an automated way. So what we can do is if we go under the positions tab, we can pick what part of the packet we want to change. So I'm just going to click clear to get rid of everything. And then this is where we put Apple and Shrek before to get the respective pages. So I'm going to add that as a field. And then now, if I go under payloads, I can put whatever I want in. So I could put Apple, banana, I don't know, Civil War, Shrek 2. And pretty much what it's going to do is it's going to go through the payload list and it's going to send, we had 4 payloads here, so it's going to send 4 requests to the server. It's just going to be this, but we're filling in this with a different payload each time. So it's going to send this request with Apple, and then this request with banana right here, and then send it again with Shrek 2 here. You get the idea. I'll just start the attack now so you can see it. And here, if we look at these, we can see that was our request, get/wiki/banana, so it did work. And under response, the server sent us back, this article is about bananas generally, for the genus to which banana plants belong. Okay, so that's the Wikipedia page for bananas. That worked.
Excuse me.
So actually, if you look right here, as I go up and down among the requests, you can see which part we're changing. And the part that it changed was what we had selected in positions. So that's pretty much how Intruder works. You should, by all rights, be confused right now.
Really quickly, under attack type, you see we currently have Sniper. We can change that for different specific types of attacks we want to do. For right now, Sniper works just fine, but I just figured, mention that because, it's important to know it's there even if you're not going to use it right now. And under payloads, we can also set different types. So instead of manually filling out a specific list, I know we can change the payload type to just brute force numbers, and then we can set a range.
Yeah, they've got.
It would be numbers.
There's a all kinds of stuff you can do. There we go. Random numbers.
Yeah, so we can set it to like sequential, and we can do it from like 0 to 10.
Now, I'm not going to do that on Wikipedia right now because we probably should not be doing that to Wikipedia. The poor web app.
Yeah, I know within JuiceShop there is an actual use for numbers.
That would be interesting. This would have been helpful for CTFs in the past. I wasn't aware of that payload option. That's helpful. Okay, so
hey, we're all learning something new today.
Before we charge through, I'm going to check chat. Okay, doesn't look like much is going on. Can everybody say something, like say you're alive? I just want to see if we have people alive here. Okay, Harrison's alive. Okay, we're good to go. Yep. Samuel's dead. Understandable. It's been a long weekend.
Yeah, I've been watching the chat. And everything shows a few seconds ago, so like I wasn't entirely sure if it was just timed out for me. Okay, but yeah, we
just wanted to make sure everybody's tracking. So now that you've kind of seen a brief overview of it, I'm going to demonstrate how you could use these against a target. Now, you don't really want to do this kind of thing against a target you don't have permission for officially. That's my official statement. So we have a web application running on a server that Sachin spun up that we have permission from Sachin to attack. It's specifically designed to be hacked, which is pretty cool. They call it, I don't know, there's a tagline for it, something about the best vulnerable web app or something. It's used for training, so you can kind of see vulnerabilities that you would find out in the wild, but a little easier. Hi, Kelsey. I'm gonna go ahead and put the URL in chat so you can take a look at what it looks like. And actually, before I do anything, I'm gonna turn my proxy off to make my life easier. Okay, welcome to OWASP Juice Shop. Thank you for the heads up. So this is a web app. It's just like Walmart.com or something like that. You can apparently make an account and fill up your shopping cart and buy juice. I was not aware banana juice existed. I'm not sure I wanted to know that. Okay.
Oh, if you can think of it, it exists.
So we're going to break this in, I think, 5 different ways today, I think. I'll be covering 2 of them. There's a lot of ways to break it.
Yeah, Harrison will be doing 2 challenges, and I'll be doing 3.
Okay, so what we're going to start with is they have a portal on here where you can leave customer feedback. If you go up to that bar on the left, and you can follow along if you want, like visit the website and use Burp Suite along with us. So we can leave anonymous feedback because we're not logged in. I'm going to say, oh, it was a very nice juice shop. And I'm going to give it a 1-star review.
Really quickly, if someone does want to do these along with us, Progress is client side. Yeah, Progress is client side, so you can do something and you can it won't affect like the demonstration. I will say I probably will take this website down after. On Heroku, there is a permanent juice shop that's alive. I'm using our own private one just because I figured probably best to keep things in our own hands, like while we're doing the demonstration. But if you want to like practice on juice shop, there is a public one. You can just like search up juice shop Heroku and it should.
You can also, if you make an account on Heroku or Heroku, I don't know how you say it, you can make one for yourself for free. We can put a link to the instructions for that. So I'm just going to leave this comment here. I hope I got that captcha right. I think I did. Yeah, okay, I'm good. Thank you for your feedback. Now, I wish this little message would go away, but if we go to the About Us page, it actually shows you all the customer feedback they've received so far. So if I look around, there's, oh, it was a very nice juice shop, 1 star. So there's us. We know it, post it to the website. What we're going to try to do is give it a 0-star review. Now, we're not allowed to give it a 0-star review. If you look here, why does this look different than it did before? Maybe I must have been running an older version of Juice Shop. Anyway, that's fine.
It's the same one. I haven't updated it.
Anyway, it will not let us select 0 stars. We can pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I cannot get it to select 0, no matter what I do. So we can actually make that happen with Burp Suite. So I'm going to say evil Juice Shop. Very bad. And hope I get this capture right. What's 64 minus 8? I need sleep. 56. So before I submit that, I'm going to realize I'm in the wrong browser. And I'm going to use the browser in Burp Suite that's actually set up to send requests to the proxy and do that over again. Okay.
Welcome to the
I'm going to give it a 5-star review just because. But we're going to change it to a 0-star review while the message is in transit. So remember how we talked about how proxy can change the conversation? Basically, we're forwarding it to the proxy. We're going to use Burp Suite, which is the proxy, to change the request to make it be a 0-star review, and then we're going to forward it to the server. Let's see.
Intercept is still off.
So I'm going to turn intercept on so it'll catch the traffic and click submit. And here we can see the request that's being sent. So the CAPTCHA was 13. Okay. Comment was bad juice and the rating was 5. Placing a 0-star review is as easy as deleting that 5 and putting a 0 in. We're now going to forward the request to the server. It says, thank you for your feedback, so it was successful. I'm going to turn intercept off to make our lives easier, and then look around on the website. So it was showing feedback on the About Us page, so I'm going to go look at that. And if I look around, not good. Null. Null is not something you should see on a website. That is bad. It pretty much just didn't have a way to print. Oh, that was somebody else's request. I didn't put not good in. So somebody's following along. So it's just putting null because the program doesn't know how to deal with 0 stars. It only knows how to print 1 through 5. So we successfully placed.
Yeah, I believe for customer feedback, that part is server-side because you're submitting it to the server, but challenge progress is stored on in your cookies. So that's why I said that was client-side.
So there we go. We left a 0-star review, which we're not supposed to be able to do. So I might not be getting it because I already got points for it or whatever, but it doesn't matter. Any questions?
You also might just need to
that is possible. Any questions on that so far? Okay, I think we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and now we're going to try to log in because there is a login feature. If we go up here under account, we can click on a login. Yes. Login fields are kind of the primary target for SQL injection or SQL injection or whatever you want to call it. And just breaking websites in general, anywhere you can type or enter data is kind of a prime target. So what we're going to do for now is just try to log in. So I'm going to say I'm bruh@bruhmail.com. And my password is, oh no. I'm going to click login, invalid email or password. So we don't know a valid email or a valid password. Our goal is to get in without having one. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. We're just going to turn intercept on so we can see the packet and click login again. And there we go, it picked it up. So there's something, I know some people here may know what it is, some people may not. We've kind of mentioned it off and on. Sql injection is basically when we take an input field, like here where we can type or input data, and we input code that then runs on the server. So SQL is a language that's used to interact with databases. A database is where things like emails and passwords and credit card information would be stored for this web app.
So essentially, you can think of a database as like
Yeah,
a
like a
giant
glorified Excel
table
spreadsheet.
where it's yeah, exactly. And it's like, we have certain like parameters, like fields that each like row would fall into. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to basically break the algorithm that searches that table in order to either give us information that we don't want or even like all the information just in that table.
So just for an example here, if I put a single quote as my email, instead of saying invalid email, it now says object object, which is not good. If we turn intercept on and take a look at that, I want to take a look at the response. I'm going to send it to Peter. It says SQLite error. So we're getting SQL errors. It's trying to run our email address as SQL code. And we're basically just completely messing up the internals of this website. So we're heading in a good direction there. SQL injection is kind of it's kind of a hard skill to pick up. It's something people spend a lot of time learning. A lot of it is trial and error, and a lot of it is actually knowing SQL and different kinds of SQL. So what we're going to be using to make this easier,
I will say,
is a payload list. So people have kind of researched and found examples of SQL injection in the field that worked, and we know they probably work for some other targets out there. So we can use these to test against this website and see if they work. So I'm going to put this link in chat. I have too many windows. I just found this one in GitHub. There are a lot of payload lists out there you can use. Basically, we're just going to try all of these and hopefully find one that breaks the code enough to let us log into the website. I can't really explain a whole lot more without y'all understanding a bit of SQL code. So pretty much the idea is you saw how we broke it by submitting an apostrophe. You can break it in a lot worse ways, basically, that skip the whole process of checking your password and your username.
All right, so there's basically really quickly, does anyone like have any questions about SQL injection? Figure while we're in the middle of this,
that's a good idea.
Try to answer a few questions. No questions? Well, screw it. I'm gonna start talking anyways. So basically, what we're doing is when we hit log in, we're essentially sending a structured request to the SQL server. So like we'll have like a user plus password. And essentially like what we're trying to do essentially here is we're trying to make it so that it just takes in like either an email or it just takes in our input, and we're trying to basically skip the password field. So like the most like basic example of this is you put it or 1 equals 1, 1 it will always equal 1. So that statement will always come out as true. That will skip the password when it's looking for a true statement.
We can kind of see an example here in the error message.
Yeah.
They're trying to select the user where their email is whatever we inputted, and their password is the hash of whatever we inputted for password. So it's dying because it's just putting our input in the middle of that SQL code statement. If we can make our input be something that completely breaks it, like if our input was, I can't edit the request. That makes sense. That would be pointless. But if we made our input something like, or 1 equals 1, like Sachin was saying. Okay, now it's just detecting it as an invalid password.
Well, no, because we need a proper like user to log in as.
So anyway, you don't have to completely understand how SQL injection works right now. We're just going to use that list and test it against it. So I'm going to go ahead and send this packet over to Intruder. And in the position section, I'm going to hit clear. So the only thing we want to replace is this password field. So, oh, I didn't actually put a password there. So I'll just put some there. Pardon me, email field. So I'm just going to,
because right now we're trying to bypass the password.
I'm just going to add that as a field to replace with payloads. And then over in payloads, first of all, I'm going to go over to that list on GitHub of SQL injection auth bypass payloads. I'm going to copy it, and then we can just paste it into our payload list right there. So now it's going to test all these. So it's basically the equivalent of me going through and trying each of these as the email in the form and seeing if it breaks the server enough to let us in. Now, the one little tweak we have to do here is we have to turn off payload encoding. What this does is it tries to format our input to work better with some software. So things like in a website name, it doesn't support spaces. So if there's a space in a website name, it replaces it with %20 and things like that. We don't want that to happen. We actually want to send bad things to the server it doesn't understand. So we're going to uncheck URL encoding. So that's about all we need. We have our payload list. We have the position selected. We're going to be attacking the email field. And I'm just going to start the attack. Now, they throttle the community edition of Burp Suite. So they basically restrain how fast you can do attempts against the server. They'll take that out if you buy the enterprise, or I forget the other versions of Burp Suite, but it's okay. It won't take too long. So actually, when we're looking at all these requests, we can see this one had a blank payload. So it just sent, let's see, it just sent the original request. This one had a different payload. You can see it filled it in there, and so on and so forth. Now, if we go to the response tab, we can see what the server had to say about each of those. It just thought that was an invalid password. This is a little juicier. We get SQL errors. If we sort by length, by clicking on the length column, it'll make our lives a little easier. We can go up and down and see everything that was 385 bytes long was the invalid email or password field. So we can skip all those. And that looks promising. Admin at Juice Shop. So let's just go ahead and, how do I stop this? I just hit escape and I think it did it. No, it didn't do it. Okay.
No, it'll
okay,
close.
Well, I don't want to do that.
Window.
So,
actually,
you know, I'm just gonna. This is not a terribly efficient way, but I'm just gonna send this to repeater. There we go.
Did you use the simplest payload?
The payload that worked was apostrophe space.
No. But like when you're submitting it into Intruder, like which payload type did you select?
Oh, simple list.
No, go to payloads.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple list. Yes, we use a simple list. We just kind of copy.
Yeah. So that where'd it go? That list I pulled down from GitHub, which is just that's some examples of ones that might break the website. You can go find some other ones and try those. You might find another one that works, but in our case, we only need one to get the job done. So I sent it over to repeater so we can see it worked again. So what we can do now, I'm going to turn the proxy off so it doesn't mess things up. I'm going to go back over to the login page and try that payload. So it was apostrophe or true minus that we got from right there. And click login. And we're in. I'm going to make this full screen. If we go over to account, it says I'm admin at Juice Shop. And in my basket, I have whatever admin was planning on ordering. So that's a pretty common thing. That's one of the most common vulnerabilities in a website is SQL injection. So this is a good tool to use maybe if you're developing a website to just quickly check against to see if you have, I mean, even if you can't test everything under the sun, if you can test for some common vulnerabilities, you can really reduce your attack surface. And we're not going to go over how to, like, in programming prevent this, but they basically do something called sanitizing inputs, where you don't allow the user to enter single quotes in their email and things like that. You basically try to limit the characters they can type in to keep them from injecting code into your site. A lot of times you'll see in websites, so like if I go register for a Gmail account and I try to put exclamation marks in the email address name, it won't let me. Just that kind of thing to check it on the client side before it goes over to the server. So that concludes the challenges I was going to do. Alrighty.
All right, I'll share my
screen. Took a bit longer than anticipated.
Okay, it's not letting me share my VMware, so instead I'm going to share just my entire screen. So before I get into my thing, I'm just really quickly going to log out this. So really quickly, I just wanted to show there's another way you could have done it. And I'm just doing this to kind of demonstrate that, regardless of how like Harrison or I do it, there's always like several different solutions to a challenge. So we can see like here, we just have a review by admin at juice-sh.op. So what we could do is we could try to log in. I just put mine in sach@gmail.com because it worked. Like, it's not checking for a real email, it's just looking for a username. So we could do admin at juice. And the password here's irrelevant. We could do and I believe that should get us in. Yep. So doing this works because we've essentially created a situation where that that condition comes out to true, and this way, doing it this way wouldn't exactly teach you how to use repeater, but I figured it's worth showing that there are several solutions to that problem, just so that you don't think the way we're doing it is the only way to do it. Like, there are several solutions to this. That same concept will come up in one of my later challenges. So right now I'm just going to log out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put an order that makes this, hold on, wait. Because I restarted. All right, really quickly, I'm just going to register so that I have this login. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place an order that makes us rich. So can you guys
Harrison's asking, how do you log in once you get the admin at Juice Shop email?
Once we had that email, so we'll go back to the review here. You can see that that email is shown as the review. So that's how I got the email in the first place. Now from there, we just go back to SQL injection.
So I'll just type in that input you used.
Yeah, so admin at Juice Shop. So we have the proper email, and then from here, we just have to create a statement that will come out to true, regardless of whether or not the password's right. And for that, we do...
Oh, that was easy.
That also works. I didn't even finish my statement. Yeah, but the thing is, if we just did it right off the bat like that, you wouldn't have learned anything. So, yeah, that works because that would come out to true. I think the way I did that is I just commented out the password by accident, but... Okay, so I'm going to go back to my thing. So the first thing I'm going to do on my own challenge list is I'm going to place an order that makes us rich. So first thing I need to do is I need to get to Burp Suite. And for my I'm using Proxy in Firefox. And that's why my thing looks a little different. I've got the port as 8081 because... Actually, I need to quickly edit that. Yeah, so you can edit which port it binds to. So like for here, if we needed something else on 8080, which I did earlier, and I'm going to show what exactly I needed that for, I can set it to 8081 just so that the proxy uses a different port, and now I can use this just fine. Okay, so we're going to intercept. Intercept is on. So the first thing we need to do is we need to add the basket, and it should. Wait. Okay, really quickly, I'm gonna go to my basket. Hold up, my thing's just frozen. This will take a little second. Options 8081. Don't tell me I'm hitting technical difficulties now. Okay, yes, this does work. All right, so as you can see, I'm going to hit add to basket, and it's just going to place in my basket. This isn't really the part where I need to worry. So I'm just going to check this out and see what, in what packets we get. So I'm going to check out add new address. So from here, I'm just kind of going through seeing basically what inputs I have. And if you're asking why Zimbabwe, I just randomly picked it. All right, so right here, we're just kind of, seeing, what input do we have, which is one-day delivery. As you can see, we don't necessarily have payment options, so I'm going to add a credit card. I'm just going to go down. All right, I need 16 digits, so. Oops. All right, I'll submit that. We're just going to continue. And you can see, we place our order and pay, but we don't necessarily have a way to pay. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to add to basket. And we're going to set up Burp Suite. I might just switch this back to port 8080. Just because I'm not entirely confident I'm getting. Oh, I know why. I didn't set up Burp Suite. Okay, really quickly, is there anything in chat yet?
Oops, we're good. No questions.
Oh, everything you made. Yeah. Okay. So really quickly, I'm going to turn up Intercept, and I'm just going to see, like, what we have now. So I think from this, it just starts off from the beginning. Actually, screw it. I'll just going to put zip code is all right. So we actually hit an error there. I don't actually know why. But yeah, no, I think we're going to have to go through this process every single time when I place an order, so. Oh, I know why.
If this doesn't end up working, I think the admin account has shipping info and credit card preloaded.
Yeah. No, I know why. It's because we can't put something that's the same name as the field we're putting it in. Okay, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna go to admin because I don't know why that's not working. Yeah, technical difficulty happens to the best of us. Object progress event. Okay, hold on. Okay, now it's working. All right, so go to my basket. I don't think we're necessarily going to need to remember this for later, but I can just select that address. Actually, wait, hold up. Okay, so if we hit quantity, if we hit for the quantity, there we go. We can only order up to 5 items of this product. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on intercept, and we're going to modify the quantity. So this part is client side. I'm going to go to checkout. Okay, why is this not showing in my intercept? Let me go back. 1-day delivery. Go here. Other payment options. Okay, yeah, no, something's going wrong here because I'm supposed to be able to edit. I'm supposed to modify the quantity, and I don't know why it's not letting me. Oh, I know why, because I'm not in Burp Suite. Check out, this should have shown up in my Burp Suite. Hold on. Okay, I need to like double check whether or not I need research. So yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties here. It's
we've only got a couple minutes, FYI.
Okay, yeah, you know, I'm just gonna skip this one because I'm not getting it to work.
If anybody has any last urgent questions they want to ask, you can go ahead and put them in chat. And
okay, so basically that challenge I was supposed to do, I was going to modify the quantity to give it a negative quantity so that the store would technically owe us money. So I don't know why that wasn't working for me. Probably because I need to restart my machine, but yeah, technical difficulties happen to the best of us. And if I just go back to this, it should work. Maybe I just need to restart my Firefox. Yeah, apologies for the technical difficulties. We went through this earlier and it worked just fine.
Are you fine with me putting your Discord in chat if they have questions?
Yeah, no problem. All right, so I'm just going to go through Burp Suite really quick and just make sure that issue's not with Burp. Okay, yeah, you know what? I think this problem is with Burp Suite. Yeah, no, we went through this earlier and it worked just fine. I don't know why it's acting up now.
I think it might just close this meeting in a few seconds when it technically ends. So fair heads up if everybody gets kicked. Thank you for everybody for coming out. I hope you learned something. Okay. I know it's a lot of new stuff, but if you have questions, you can reach out to us after. I put our Discords in the chat. And thank you for coming out.
Yeah, and apologies for the technical difficulties. I swear, I had this working like earlier. Harrison was there too. Yeah, but yeah, no. So what I was going to do is for the first one, of course, I mentioned, you know, we're going to use negative quantity to make the store owe us money. And the second one I was going to do is I was going to order an item that wasn't on the shop. And the way I would have done that is by getting into the server configuration and pulling the product ID from that. And then substituting that product ID whenever I ordered something else. Yeah, if you guys want to try this, there are also like write-ups online. There are write-ups online that you could look at if you like need help with this. But yeah, no, I just don't know why my machine's not working. I'm gonna shut down guest, stop sharing screen. Okay, but yeah, thank you for attending. Hopefully next time if I do this again, my machine will actually work. Yeah, no, I literally had this work an hour ago.
Thank you, Harold. Alrighty.
Oh no, Harold, thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this.
Once again, if y'all have questions, we put both of our Discords up in chat so you can talk to us after. And thank you for coming out. Hope you learned something.